strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Dorien Morin-van Dam.
Hey, everybody. Yes, it's me, Dorien Morin-van Dam. Thank you so much for being with us here live on Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. I have a super special guest here with me today. Before I reveal who it is, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for those who are here live. Please let us know where you're joining us from. If you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know I appreciate you very much. Strategy Talks is a live talk show that's available on YouTube, but can also be listened to on podcast in all your favorite podcast listening areas. I also want to do a shout out to our sponsor, Social Insider. They are the intuitive dashboard for social media analytics, reporting, and competitors analysis for brands and agencies. Social Insider, thank you so much for sponsoring us week after week after week. So without much further ado, I have a very special guest. Like I said, it is my very own brother joining us from the Netherlands. For those of you who are not familiar, I was born and raised in the Netherlands, and all of my family is still there. And so I asked my big brother, I have three brothers, my big brother is here today, Harjan van Dam. And Harjan, welcome to Strategy Talks.
Thank you for this introduction.
Yes.
Big brother. Yes, it's the first time. Yes.
Yeah. So Harjan and I grew up in the Netherlands in the 70s and 80s. And as we were talking in the green room about company culture, there was definitely an alignment with how we grew up. So Harjan, your philosophy on, you're CEO, you have led sports companies. You've been the CEO of soccer clubs, hospitals, laboratoriums. You've been interim director of the National Cycling Association of the Netherlands, right? So your philosophy is all based on trust. Can you talk a little bit about how that relates back to our childhood and how our parents raised us? Because I think that's a great analogy. And I want to preface it with, not everybody in the Netherlands was raised this way or is raised this way right now, but we certainly felt that. And so when you started talking about trust, it immediately made that connection. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, you ask a lot. Well, when I think about the past and about our childhood, then it's about trust. Yes, that's true. I was cycling to another village 10 kilometers by bike by myself when I was 10 years old. It was a different time, of course, but it was also the trust we got. And this happened also with my first jobs to work when I was young, at 12 years, 14 years, 16 years. This was with my sport. I was a cyclist. And yes, I traveled with friends and other persons to Europe. I mean, countries in Europe through the Netherlands. It was all about trust. Yes, and this is a basic value, I guess, I get from my parents, how they did it, and maybe unconscious, but I used it also. Yes, in my own family, but also in work.
Yeah, so you were about 4 years older than I am, and between us is a sister. So growing up, you kind of did your thing, and I know that you did a lot of stuff on your own. You had jobs really early. I remember being on a 3-hour train journey when I was 12 years old by myself without a cell phone or whatever, having to change trains. I did that. I went camping when I was 15 with my friends, right? So there was definitely that innate trust between our parents and us. So you come from a sports background. I think that analogy is great. When we talk about the importance of company culture, let's talk about both from the side of how you relate that to being a CEO of a company and the company culture that you show, right? That you, because it all comes down to when you're the CEO, you set company culture, right? You're the one who sets it. It comes from the top down. And so how does that relate to you being a national cyclist, right? How does that relate to that?
Yeah, and this is not in a certain period or something. So it just grew step by step, and you are not conscious. And after a while, you reflect and you think, oh wait, this is maybe because of this, and this is how it goes. And of course, you became not at certain moment the CEO. Yes, you became at certain moment the CEO, but this is also a growing part of different career steps. So it's step by step, and you grow in this position, and then this all, when I reflect to my sports career, it's about goal setting, and it's about training with discipline, and it's about it's not always fun. It's always with difficulties. Maybe one day, maybe in the week, maybe in a period, because you get injury or something. So it's all about experienced in the good times and the bad times. It's about goal setting, what I say, and it's also about evaluation. So did you get and reach the goals or not, and what happened and why? And in a way, this is the same like business, because you make a business plan, a year plan, a several years plan, and you set the goals. You talk with the people. Is it what's the word? Is it comfortable in a way? Is this what we can reach? Is this are these the good goals? And maybe they make them also. So it's already cooperation. You start working, and things happened. Of course, this is real life. So things happened. You check and balance and evaluate, and you make new goals. And this is in a way with cycling, but this is also in business. It's rather similar. Yes, of course, different, but in a way the same process. Yes.
Yeah. I talk a lot about strategy for social media. As a social media strategist, that is one of the first things I do when I work with a client. I'm like, what is your goal? Why do you want to be on social media? And by the way, just telling me you need to be on social media because your friend is telling you to be on social media, that is not a goal, right? Why do you want to be on there? And so I love that you just brought that up. It's all strategy. Company culture is part of that strategy, right? And how you are going to, how you are bringing in the voices of all the people in your culture. Now, I know that you you were head of a laboratory where there was a lot of mergers, right? So you merged several companies, or helped merge several companies, and helped a company through that transition. What are some of the things or strategies that you had to implement to align everybody? Like there's one lab here, there's one lab here, one lab there. Let's talk about some of the ways that you got people to really be able to talk and see eye to eye on things.
Yes. Whoa, this is a lot of questions, and it's also because this was a period of, for example, 8 years, and during those 8 years, it's step by step. It's step by step. For example, one of the most important things is to be clear in the goal. In the goal, the same topic. That's not the good word, I guess. The same.
End results?
Process, yes, end results, the same view, idea about the future. So keep continuing this view. Not this year a little bit left, next year a little bit right, and do different.
The vision. The vision.
Keep the vision clear and hold it. And communicate. And not only abstract, but also in a simple way, in the way of yearly goals or yearly steps, or and be close to the people. So this is the first. It's because it's about process, it's about people, it's about systems, and it takes, like cycling or like other sports, it takes a long breathtaking. So it takes a long period. So keep calm, step by step, explain and communicate. So this is the basics. Do what you say that you're going to do. That's one of the most important things. And be the example. So if you say that they should do or do it by yourself also, because that's one of the basics. That's with kids also, and but this is also in business. It's not so difficult, I guess. But this is the basics. So hold the line, be clear, communicate, give the example, the right example, and make steps, and be also proud. So be proud. So yes, we have some Frisian words for this, and I cannot repeat, of course.
It sounds like you're saying celebrate all the milestones as you make them. Have pride in what you're doing, right?
Yes, but it's be proud it's sometimes so simple, because once I started with the company, it was just demerged and so what's the name? Where are the pens? It's so simple. Where's the flag? Where's the PowerPoint format? It was not. So who are you? Yes, I'm not. I'm nothing. So be proud. Make your name.
The branding part. The branding part.
Branding, identity. It's about identity. Make your identity. Make your identity. Be proud. And this is also step by step, and rather conscious in doing. So it's identity of business. It takes a long breathtaking. So it's years, and so bring it to the people. Again, talk. What is the basics of your company? What are you standing for? Why, what, how? You know this. This is still always, and of course you should. Because the world is changing, so it's not fixed or something, not 8-year fixed. That's the most stupid, of course. It should be adapted to what happened also. But in a way, you can hold the line for those years. And what I realized, and this is maybe, or what I learned, that's maybe better. It's really important to have also to do new things, to show the world, or to show your employees, or that you are in front, you are a front runner, and you want to be the best, or the expert, or the professional, or the newest technologies, and this is difficult for people, because people like a lot to do the same over years, because change is difficult, and maybe it's what will happen with my position, and all issues. But if you take the time, if you explain, and if you give them the freedom and the responsibility, again, also in the innovation part of this, they will go.
That's fantastic. So what I hear you say is, as a leader, you certainly lead by example, right? So you do what you ask of them, which is really, really good. And then you're giving that freedom, that trust, where at the beginning of the conversation, we talked about that. As children, we both experience that, obviously with the same parents, brother and sister, but having that giving that trust to somebody in the workspace and saying, I know you can do this, go innovate, go try new things. And then what you said in the green room is they work harder. They're excited about the project. They take ownership of it. And I think that was really important. And when you tie that back into sports, when we talk about, you've been a trainer and you've had trainers, right? When you were growing up as a teenager, and then in your early 20s, you had different trainers that helped you get to that level that you wanted to get to. But ultimately, who was responsible for the outcome?
It's always yourself. So this is the first step, always in reflection. But realize, or remember, or think about it's the same time to give this this freedom, or this responsibility, but it's not without borders. So there should be borders always, in a way of disciplines also. It's not a totally freedom. And if after a trial, and it's not because not everything is 100% or is successful, but if people distrust, or it's not a free place for yes, a lot of fun, of course. We should have fun also, but it's not a free place to do something what you like to do and without any consequence or discipline or so. When this is not functional, and this because not everybody can handle this responsibility or this freedom. Yes, sometimes it's the opposite necessary. So you should say goodbye. But my experience is with this that it's also depending on the discipline in the company. So there are several teams or several. It depends on what you're doing in the business. So it's not for every business, but in general, I'm more experienced in professional teams, and this work with professionals. Yes.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I this is fascinating because I was just about to say the word team, and there you were saying it. So with working within a team and thinking about what just happened, 2 years of a pandemic, we're just getting out of that. So you were already 8 years ago when you started working with this company that was going through these mergers, you were already giving people responsibility. So what happened 2 years ago when people had to work from home? Did your company experience difficulty that people say, oh, I don't know how to do this? Or did they say, hey, we can do this. We're up to the challenge. What company culture play a role in how this went down for the company that you were working in?
Well, yes, but we were a laboratory, a medical laboratory. So we were in the middle of the pandemic. And everybody was sitting home, but we should go to the laboratory because all this COVID testing should be necessary, and we did it. So
yeah,
for that part of the country, of course. And people feel this responsibility, and they were there. Instead of maybe sometimes frightened or scared, that's maybe a better word. And yes, what happened, especially in the beginning, with shortage of materials, they find solutions. That's one. And in the beginning, when the scale up should be started, they worked hours and hours. It was more than only 6 or 8 hours and a new shift. No, it was 12 hours, and it was 7 days a week. It was almost day and night, and this was how they felt it should be. And at the same time, it was sometimes scary home because the kids were also home. Some people get sick, so it was the total of this period. What happened was the responsibility, find new solutions. And yes, we were also in the middle, so we felt this responsibility for the national healthcare in a way also.
right.
So this
right.
is, but so it's not fully familiar. But and for this, and this is maybe a good example. I'm not working on the laboratory by myself, but I feel the responsibility to go to the lab also.
Right.
To show them I'm here. This is what's necessary.
But that's because you're a leader, right?
Yes,
right.
Yes.
That makes sense. So trust is really the foundation of how you lead a company and how you show company culture, right? That was the most discipline and trust. Is there anything else that you can think of, like another ingredient that you feel like that's needed to make this work? Like say, you've worked in sports, right? Professional sports teams, healthcare. What else did you say? The Cycling Federation, diagnostic. And so they're very, in a way, regulated, right? They're very regulated areas, especially hospitals. Is there anything else that needs that is necessary in that kind of company culture? Is there a lot of checks and balances? Is there anything else that we could talk about that's important? I love that you talked about identity, the brand identity, and being proud of that. And as a country, the Netherlands already kind of has that, right? We are a very proud country. The Netherlands, when we go to the Olympics or when we go to soccer, You see the Dutch and the orange and it's everywhere. So that's kind of in our country culture. And if you then relate that to company culture, I kind of like that idea of showing that you are proud of that. Is there anything else we can add to that? What?
Yes. It's also about stubborn.
Oh, okay. Being stubborn, meaning what?
Well, we have the Dutch. They have always a meaning about everything.
An opinion.
Yes, opinion. That's yes. We have always opinion, and this is not. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's difficult because what kind of meeting I have, always there is someone, yes, but, or should we do this? And the Dutch culture is to give this freedom. And the opposite of this, I mean, to give a lot of freedom, is that it's never came to a decision. So you should make rules how to come to a decision. Otherwise, there's always one who is smarter and is more stubborn and start discussion again. So also this is make a border of where till with what point you want to discuss, and then we make the decision. Otherwise, there will be no decision. And I liked it, but sometimes it's more difficult because it asks more communication skills in what's the border of this freedom to discuss. The Dutch discuss about everything, and there are countries who are more from above, and this is what you should do. Point, no discussion. And and it helps about this responsibility, about this freedom, what we talk about, and the proud. But and they will fight, and they will go, and they will work with enthusiasm, with energy, with new ideas. But yes, sometimes it should be a little bit bordered. What's the name?
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about hierarchy, right? And if we compare that to models, it would be like the Catholic Church, right? You have the Pope and then the bishops, and the information comes top
can be
down.
A business also.
Right. And then you can do that in business as well, right? So the CEO makes a decision, and then it goes down like that. So the Dutch are more they're used to giving their opinion, for sure. I mean, just look at the political system in the Netherlands that has a lot of different parties. While in the US, where I live, we basically have two main ones, maybe three, and that's it. So you're either this or that, and the other opinions in between don't necessarily get their voice heard. So I love that about growing up in the Netherlands, that yes, we can always, and that's the difference. In the Netherlands, when I go visit, and I visit, when I go visit my family, there's always dialogue, and not necessarily discussions, but dialogue.
Yes. And did you think, and what do you think about this? And this is my opinion. It's always, yes. And this is,
respectfully.
Yeah. And this is also what should be in the company. Yes, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
And
so one
and
of my rules.
I think that's a big difference, though. In the US, a lot of times those kind of discussions are impossible. It becomes very quickly them against each other. So instead of being able to voice an opinion, it's like you're either for or against something. So the idea that you can have a discussion without having a clear winner, but actually having a discussion about something, is very much a Dutch phenomenon, I think.
Yes, the dialogue, you say. And one of my favorite quotes is that it's not about, we are not screaming, we are not mapping the doors, or it's just normal talk. We can listen, listen, please, and try to think about what, and then asking. And of course, there should be borders, because if you don't set the borders, then it's going endless and no decision will be. So you should but in a way, we are from dialogue. Yes. And it's not everywhere in Holland, of course. Be clear. But it's about my vision. Then it is.
Yeah. In your company culture. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Yes. Boundaries it's important to have those boundaries, but within those boundaries, have that safety of being able to say
this is basic. Yes.
Yeah. So you tell your employees, you can talk, you can give your opinion. This is a safe space. And that's really important.
But if this is not, if there is no safe space, nobody will ask or say something. So
Right.
if there is no, but this is, but this is so fundamental for me. It's so logic, but this is the basic. Yes, for sure. Everybody's allowed to say what he or she wants to say without any consequence about your job or something.
Right.
Yes, there are borders, but it's about normal behavior.
Okay, but that's not the case in a lot of companies. So your company culture, the importance of that is that you show that you embody that when you lead a company. So I love that. Harjan, we are out of time. So people can connect with you on LinkedIn. I put it up there on the screen. I love that I got to get you on my show. Appreciate that very, very much. I always love talking to you and very proud of all of you've accomplished. And you have a new startup, right? Are you working on something new?
Yes, I want to give some of my experience as a CEO to younger or starter CEOs, not by coaching, because coaching you can guess a lot about, but it's about practical help in a way. So sometimes give solution or sometimes only listening. And this is, yes, in Dutch, there's a special word for, but this is a joke word in a way, linked to my cycling career.
Yeah.
And because it's about steering a company, steering on the bike. So this is the connection. But it's about practical help. You are sometimes alone. You don't know, is it left or right, what to do, what to go, and sometimes it's a pleasure to help for me, but it's also for the other one. It's a pleasure to ask someone.
Yeah.
Not by huge and what do you think by yourself, and no, just the practical help.
Yeah.
You should do this, and this is sometime, and this is my startup.
Yeah.
And I start already also in a new laboratory organization as CEO. So this is also.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, when the new startup is off, I'm going to share with my network on LinkedIn and everywhere else when you're ready to mentor in a way those and help practical help for startup CEOs. That's fantastic. So connect with Harjan on LinkedIn. Let him know that you listened to Strategy Talks or you watched the show. Harjan, thank you so much for being here with me today. And I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. And I will be back next week. Bye, everybody.